Hey guys, LeBar98 here with a versus match. This is Canada versus Sweden. I think this was around. Actually, it could have been even like the day of the Canada gold medal victory against Sweden. And I'm actually not playing as Canada. Someone else chose Canada, so just to kind of keep it somewhat fair, as far as talent-wise is concerned, I decided to choose Sweden just for for the irony or whatever of it. And it was a really good game, and this is why I'm showing it. But in this video, we're actually going to talk about the trade deadline and my thoughts and opinions of some of the key acquisitions. Of course, the first one that happened during the day was the Martin St. Louis going to the Rangers in exchange for Callahan, a first and a second, I believe. That one, I guess at this point in time, I would say the Rangers got the better player. The problem is St. Louis is like, what, 38 years old? And that's ultimately the main issue with that trade. Now, from what I've been hearing, Tampa doesn't really have any intentions of signing Callahan, at least for the $6+ million that he wants, which in my opinion is outrageous. But like overall, I think it's a decent trade, like for the time being, for the next couple of years anyway, for the Rangers. Although in the future, it could go into the Tampa Bay Lightning's favor, especially with those draft picks. But we'll have to see. You never know if Callahan somehow smartens up and actually signs with the Tampa Bay Lightning for a better deal than $6 million. $6 million, then maybe that there alone could actually favor the Tampa Bay Lightning, but we'll see. Another one I thought was interesting was Halak to the Washington Capitals. I think that's gonna be a good trade for them. It'll give Holtby. It might take it might take the pressure off of Holtby a little bit from being that go-to guy to more of like maybe potentially a backup now, and give him some time to mature and stuff like that as a goaltender. And but overall, I think Halak is good for them. And going forward, Ottawa, they got Hemsky. That was like their big deal. Hemsky, I always liked. The problem is he does get injured a lot. And but we'll see how that works out. Obviously, he hasn't been like a goal-scoring machine this year, but we'll see. Actually, tonight I think he got like 3 assists. So. He could be a really good fit there. We'll have to wait and see for that. Another one I thought was a really good trade was the Vanek to Montreal. I heard talks that Toronto was also in on that, but the problem with Toronto versus Montreal is that Toronto wanted them to, or the Islanders rather, to take some salary back, where the Montreal Canadiens were just willing to take him as is. So if Toronto would have had the cap room, then perhaps he would have been on the Leafs and not the Canadiens. But regardless, it's still a great trade for Montreal. It's what they kind of need, I think, as they've had some issues scoring this year. Because their defense is not too bad overall. It's just the offense. They don't have like that really big fired #1 guy to score goals like Toronto has with Castle and other teams like with Kane and Tavares, or even Tavares on like the Islanders and so on, like those go-to guys for offense. So I think Vanek will definitely help there. Another one I think was Gaborik to the Kings. I think that's, let's face it, Gaborik's not the Gaborik that we knew of when he played for the Minnesota Wild, but I think he'll be a solid addition, especially for their playoff run, the Cup run. And I think that's really it when it comes to like the big trades, at least the ones that I was kind of surprised about. Like I thought Philadelphia added some, added Andy McDonald. I would have liked at least to get him, but overall, as far as the Leafs are concerned, of course you guys know I am a Leafs fan. I don't think there was really anything they could have done. I never felt at all today that like the Leafs should have done something. Where in the past, maybe, when they weren't really doing all that well, they should have traded Grabowski or MacArthur for draft picks, which I heard at the time was like a first rounder for both. That's something you might want to do. But like this year, especially like there was talks of them trading Kuhlman, Raymond, Boland, although he's injured, and who knows if he'll come back this year. Those types, Franson even, Gardner. Like there's these guys that are on the last year of their contract or whatever that maybe Toronto should have traded. But the thing is, you don't want to like completely blow up a team that's in a playoff position, and they're like what, I think they're like third right now in their division. So like it's not something you really want to like. It doesn't look good on your team, I guess is what I'm trying to say, when you're blowing up the team because they're on the last year of a contract. And considering all these other teams at the deadline are acquiring players on a expiring contract, Toronto basically just did that. The only difference is they didn't have to give anybody up to do it. In essence, the guys like the Kuhlmans, Raymond, Boland when he comes back, and so on, like they are the Leafs rentals. They are the rental player. And overall, I think as the last two games have shown, I think it is actually so far it's working out for Toronto. But overall, I mean, like as far as the trades are concerned, there was actually a lot of trades. I mean, there wasn't like there was talks of like Kessler and stuff like that. Going and a few other ones like Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo did do their trades too. Like, they got rid of Molson and stuff like that. But of course, Ryan Miller. I think that's going to really help St. Louis. Now they got their bona fide #1 goaltender. I think that's going to be great for them. I think Steve Ott was also part of that trade, which will help them. And now I think Stewart's on Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. I think he could help that situation there. And of course, speaking about Kessler, I mean, there was talk about Kessler. There was talks of Alex Edler, who I would have loved Toronto to go after. There was even some talks of Bieksa, although I didn't expect that to happen. There's, let's face it. I mean, the Vancouver Canucks right now are not doing all that great, and there's definitely should be talks when you're not doing that great, when you're on like an 8-game losing streak and stuff. These talks should happen, especially at the trade deadline. But ultimately, they didn't go completely nuts, except for one thing, Luongo. What the heck is Gillis thinking? I mean, you go from this team who has probably one of the best 1-2 tandems in the league with Luongo and Schneider, and a year later you have Lack and Markstrom. Like, what the hell happened there? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, oh my god, like, I'm lost for words. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. And I'm surprised that this Mike Gillis guy is, like, still hired. Like, he should have been fired long ago. But I don't know what's going on there as far as management's concerned and the Canucks organization. But this guy simply doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, to be fair, like, he's made some good signings and things like that, maybe over the course of his GM career or whatever. But, it's just one of those things, like, there's some. It's really what it is. It's bad asset management. He tries to get too much for Luongo instead of just kind of taking the second round draft pick and whatever. Because there was talks even before Toronto got Bernier that they were going to take Luongo, and the talk was I think the second and Scrivens or whatever. But no, Gillis he wanted to go all out and get Kadri and I don't know, Bozak and Scrivens or Reimer or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he was just greedy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. He was just greedy. And then, of course, this got held up a little too much. And then finally they were forced to trade Schneider because they couldn't trade Luongo. And then now, a year later, at the deadline, they trade Luongo. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. And honestly, do. I mean, sure, I like to crap on Canucks and their fans a little bit, but at the end, I mean, I really do feel bad for them because to have a GM like that controlling your team, it's just I'm a loss for words. I don't know what to say about that. But anyway, that's basically it for like the talk of the deadline. I thought overall it was an entertaining deadline. I mean, there's a lot of trades. There wasn't maybe those big blockbuster. Okay, like Luongo, trade. I mean, that was a big one. St. Louis, that was a big one. But I mean, it wasn't this complete out of nowhere. I found trades for these, but overall, not a bad one. Anyway, that's basically it. As you can see here, this guy quit. It was 6-0, I think. I was Sweden, he was Canada, and he quit. Anyway, this is LeBron98 signing out. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Take care, guys. See ya. Bye.